Now, I will very briefly, just to expand just a bit on what Yolanda has already presented as to the executive order that is focused on the interior. Now, you hear a lot about the border wall executive order. It's the same thing. It's the same one, but it's not just by the border wall. Now, including the fact that they are expanding on the officers, immigration officers, they have also now tapped police to also be sort of immigration officers. So in other words, the police can stop you and ask you for your papers. And if you don't have them, they can pick you up. They can take you. And additionally, what they've done is they want to what's called expedited removal. So expedited removal is wherein if you are picked up at the border, they don't need to get you in front of a judge. They can just get you out. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to expand that expedited removal. So now, so if they pick you up and you cannot prove that you've been here for over a year, they can just remove you without having to go in front of a court, in front of a judge. And what they also have done with this executive order is to sort of say for people who are here, although they say here illegally or have committed a crime, now they have equated committing a crime with overstaying. But overstaying is not a crime. It's administrative, it's civil. It's not necessarily a crime, but that's what they're equating it to. So when you hear the numbers of 6 million people are criminals, they're really lumping in the criminals, actual criminals, with people who have overstayed. And another thing they have done or want to do is to now make it that even children. I was in court in Baltimore, and they called out the name and the birth date. It was a 3-year-old. It was a 3-year-old, and it's very disheartening, and it hurts you when you sit there and you see this happening. And some of the things that people need to be aware of is that if you get stopped and they ask you who you are, you don't have to tell them. You can literally say, I do not want to speak. Like in any situation. Just because their eyes does not change anything, you still have the right to remain silent. Have a business card of an attorney. If you have an attorney, have a business card. If you don't have the card with you, leave it with someone you can call to tell them, call someone, call this person. If you have children, have something in place of who is appointed to take care of your children if you're picked up. In other words, have power of attorney. Okay, have a power of attorney for your children. Make sure the schools are aware, whatever school your children are going to, of who can come and pick up your children. Because if not, social services will pick them up and they will end up in the system. So you have to make sure you have those things in place for just in case. And you have to make sure that if you're home, because sometimes they come late at night or super early in the morning, when they come in, they knock on the door, you don't have to open your door. Unless they have a warrant with your name on it signed by a judge, not an immigration officer, a judge. If they don't have it, if what they show you on the window is signed by an immigration officer, do not open the door. You have a right to not open your door. And if you do open the door because it's a judge, step outside and close the door. Don't let them in, because once they come in, if there's anyone else there who is undocumented, they can pick them up. Step outside, talk to them out there. Don't let them into your house. Don't let them into your space. Okay? So those are just some of the things. Carry around, for those who have been here for a very long time, I advise people to put together your documents that show the length of time you have been in the US. So if you have leases dating back to 1999, have those. If you have pay stubs dating back to whatever, just put them together and make sure someone you trust is aware of these documents, that these exist, for just in case if you're stopped or you're pulled over and they pick you up, you have something to show. Have a copy of your green card if you're a permanent resident. Have a copy of your green card. They say to carry the green card, but I say keep the original because it's expensive to get it back if you lose it.
Almost $600.
Photocopy it and keep your original somewhere, but keep a copy with you on your person. Because unfortunately, people say, well, once they pick me up, eventually they'll find out. Yes, but by the time they do, a lot may have happened. Your life will be turned upside down, and by the time things are resolved, you don't know where you are. Okay? They're picking people up in any number of places. Any number of places. They've picked people up right outside the church. They've picked people up in... This is not to put fear into people so people hide and don't leave your house. Far from it. Okay? But it's for awareness. And for anyone who has a green card, I tell people, if you've had it for over 5 years, please apply for your citizenship. Life is so much easier, so much better if you have your US citizenship. And if you're stopped, they ask you a question. And if you decide you're going to answer, do not lie to the federal officer, because you're just digging a hole for yourself. And you make it worse. So, in the alternative, just don't answer. And if they pick you up, do not sign paperwork without having an attorney with you. There have been people who have signed documentation giving away or turning over their permanent residency because, okay, they find out, they say, oh, you have a permanent residency, but we see here that you were born on December 5th, 1960, but we have something else that says you were born on January 5th, 1975. Okay? So they may say you received your green card inappropriately and you lied, so sign this document saying you are voluntarily giving up your permanent residency. Don't do it. Don't sign any document whatsoever. They can also put a document in front of you basically saying you're ready to leave the country. This is why you do not sign any document without an attorney present, without speaking to an attorney. And if you're in your house, they're outside, you don't want to open the door, pick up your phone, call your attorney, say, I'm here, they're outside, what do I do? And get direction. And part of what Yolanda said earlier, be frank with your attorney. We are bound by law to never ever disclose anything that you tell us. We can lose our bar license. People have been disbarred for these sort of things. So you understand the power that you have as the client. But you have to tell everything. Things come out. I've had clients who did not disclose any information while we're doing the TPS. But once you do the fingerprints, everything comes up. And then everything is delayed. So it's important to talk to your attorney openly. Okay? And you have to be cognizant of the fact that when you have children in this country and your children may not be documented, once they reach a certain age, they need to know. They need to know. Because if they don't know, they're liable to get themselves in situations that could get them removed. I told you, 3-year-old was on the roster to be removed. It does not matter the age, they don't care. They look at a name and a number, that's it. They're not looking at the person. So if you have children, they need to know if they're undocumented, because their actions need to be a reflection of their status in this country. Okay? For those of us who grew up here, we think and act as American when we leave our homes. It's when we come home, we say, but we're going out, you know, America, so they act like American begin. And that's what you do. Either you do that or you are an outsider. So we conform to a certain degree when we leave the home. And our behavior and our attitude and where we go